Hello friends. I'm back with the new with the continuation of the previous video. Uh, Here, you I was supposed to explain you something about the specifiers in details. Previously, I told you we kept our a and b variable as private, and I already explained you that if you keep your variables private, that means who can access it? Only the data member. Sorry, my mistake. Only the member of those class can access the private data members of that class. So, like if I say A and B, these are two private variables. So, who can access these variables? Only set data and display. Okay. Main is a function who cannot access it. Why? Because main is not a member of that class of class sample. How it's not a member of that class? Because it's not defined inside the class, correct? So that is the concept. So let's say if I want this a and b should be accessible by main also, so we'll make this a and b variable public. So let's say instead of using this display function, I'll just comment it. Okay, I want to use this thing. So let's see, previously when we used this thing we got an error. Why? Because it was private, but now I defined it as public. So let's see, if I compile this, there's no errors. That means oh sorry, one error is there. What is that? It is not accessible. It's not accessible. Why? Let's see. uh, oh, my mistake. What I did, it should be public. Okay, and one more thing, I did public over here. If it is public, so that means entire thing below that, whatever I'm going to define over here, it will be public. That's the scenario. You saw that I kept this set data public, so that's the reason I got an error over here, and I cannot access. It's not accessible. Why it's not accessible? Because I kept it as private. So private data cannot be accessed. Data, or you can say member function, anything. Okay, so now can I'll just see. I'll just compile this. I got no error over here. That means I can access this, correct? So I'll just execute it. Okay, so you can see 4 and 5 is the output for this, because previously what we were doing is we were displaying this. We kept these two statements inside display function, and display function was accessing a and b, and that is quite possible. We can access display function over here because display was public previously, right? And even yeah, it was public, and we have the rights to access display because display is a public specified function. Okay, and display is accessing a and b, where a and b is accessible by display. Why? Because display is a member of class sample. So this private data members are accessed by display function here, which is allowed. Why? Because a and b is a member of this class. Again, I'm repeating, it's a member of that class. Display is a member of this class, so a and b is accessible by the display function. Good. uh, One more important tip I'll give you, like always keep your data private. Don't put it as public. Okay, always keep your function public, because any activity that you want to do, you will do via functions. Okay, data should not be accessible to me over here. Why? Because if you have access of data, that means you can change my data as per your requirement, as per main's requirement. That should not happen. uh, who should access private data? Only the member function of that class can access. So this is basically a wrong concept when we keep our data public, like a and b. I kept data public, a and b over here, so I should not put that. So I kept private. That means only the functions have the rights to access it, and main has the authority to access only functions. Via functions, it will access the variables. Okay, good. It's quite clear to you guys. Fine. And this was the private and public concept. I hope you understood it clearly. If you have any doubts, you can comment me down. I'll surely definitely give answer for that, maybe by video or by on comment if it is possible. Fine. The next thing I want to explain you over here is, uh, how we define our function outside the class, because there are two ways to define a function. One is this method what I used. I defined my set data and void display body inside this class itself. But if you have because in this program we are working with two functions, so it's okay that I define my functions body in this class itself. But what if I have 10 functions? So it will be not clear to you that if you want to see all functions, if you want just to see what all functions I have inside my sample class, so you just need to, I mean, you have to just scroll down this way. If you have 10 functions, if you define inside the class, so better what we can do over here is we will only keep the prototype. I mean, I'll just declare my function inside the class and will define that function outside the class. Suppose if you want to have a look on class and you just want to go through that how much functions you want in quick, so at that time that is a better way. So these all things I'll illustrate in my next video. Now I'll just stop over here. I hope you have understood those things well. Please watch my next videos to get into the another concept how we define function outside the class. Till then, bye bye, thank you.